makes CWS unique in the way that it supports refugees and migrants is it puts agency in the hands of refugees. We support refugee-led organizations and initiatives that are based within refugee communities. We rely on the expertise and the understanding of refugees, of what the refugee experience is like. And we rely on and build refugee expertise to be able to provide essential services to their communities. In this way, we provide services that are essential and needed, and we don't just run projects for refugees. We hand agency and control to refugees while supporting them with expertise and funding and connections to our networks and donors.
Good afternoon. Well, good afternoon on 4 p.m. Eastern time here at CWS's inaugural Giving Day. And welcome to all of our supporters, volunteers, staff, and champions of change. This is our 4 p.m. live stream, and so proud to have on the call today Mary Catherine Hines, Jeff Whisenant. Jeff and Mary Catherine, how are you today?
I'm doing great, and so grateful for so many folks contributing to this amazing mission of Church World Service.
It's a great day. It's been a lot of fun. I know you're thinking it's at 4 o'clock. Now, how many of these have we done? It's been all so great, but it does feel like we've done a lot of these today.
I'm starting to lose count, but we've had just wonderful guests from our CEO to Olha, to Jeff now today, and many others. It's been a really special first Giving Day, and we're excited for where we've come so far. We still have some work to do, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But for those watching today, you just saw a video from our CWS Asia representative, Chris Eads. And we'll jump right in and we'll talk a little bit about that as we welcome Jeff, who's our interim vice president of business development. Jeff, we heard from Chris about how CWS supports refugee-led organizations. Can you tell us more about our approach to partnership, what that means for us?
I do love Chris's description and how he describes our great partnership with refugee-led organizations and recognizing the innate talent that exists among refugee communities. Chris, I would extend that not just to refugee communities themselves, but to all of the communities where Church World Service works around the world, whether that's in a disaster-affected community, like the one we saw this morning in Kenya, or to a disaster-affected community here in the United States, as well as the communities where we're doing development. I can think of examples in Cambodia, where we are working with community-led organizations, community-based organizations, to plot the impacts of climate change in their watershed and to prepare ahead of time on how to address those. In each case, it is the community and their own community leadership that is in charge of the work. So I would say collaboration is a big part of the DNA at Church World Service. And interestingly, we have 78 years of collaborating, and we are just now in the process of examining that DNA and writing it down so we can talk about it more comprehensively. I serve on the group that's documenting what those principles are. So this is not even fresh off the press. This is before the press. But we have we partner with organizations that we are aligned with in our values and where we see complementarity of mission and purpose. We bring mutual respect and accountability going both ways. We believe in joint learning with our partner organizations, and we build upon their own capacity that exists in every community. So that's a way that those are the ways that CWS looks at partnership in all of our programs, whether it's refugees, humanitarian situations or development situations.
That's wonderful, Jeff. We've heard that theme quite a bit today in different ways. That CWS is not just there helping, where they're standing alongside communities.
Absolutely.
With so many vibrant partners, and that's inspiring to me, and I think so many of our supporters and donors as well.
And it's one of the reasons that I support CWS myself, and that I'm very proud to be a CWS donor, because we believe in these principles and we put them into practice.
Yeah, and I think that our entire team is grateful to you and our leadership team who stands alongside that mission in a tangible way through giving. So we're all grateful to that. What are some other ways that we organizationally seek to be accountable?
So in my last thoughts there, I really focused on our accountability to the communities we serve and alongside whom we work. We also seek to be accountable to our donors and to the general public. We do that through transparency. So for example, we are audited every year, and on our website, you will always find the last series of our financial audits. Those audits are in the lingo of the accounting trade. They're unqualified, meaning the auditors sign behind them or sign up on them and say, yes, this represents the real deal. We also respond to questions that come from organizations like Charity Navigator and the Better Business Bureau. These are organizations that, to a sense, they're charity watchdogs, and they perform a real service in the nonprofit community. And I'm really happy to say that on Charity Navigator, we have a score of 100%. And that's obviously the best score you can get. And the Better Business Bureau has a division that focuses on the nonprofit sector, and you can look that up at give.org. So give.org, and we have a perfect score on that scale as well. We strive for that. We hold ourselves accountable, and we make that visible to our supporters and to the general public. But if you visit our website and if you sign up for our newsletters, you will also hear how we are, or read and see how we are accountable to the public and to our supporters by talking about the work we do and the people we serve, the people we work alongside, and stories about our impact. So I encourage you to do that if you've not had the chance to do that. We have, I was on a call with a donor this morning who said that we have one of the best websites out there of a nonprofit. So I was really happy to hear that. We seek to use that as a way to communicate to everyone what we are doing and what the impact is.
That's great. And that's really important, I think, for a lot of folks to hear the stories, but to also know those numbers too, and know that we're very transparent, and we're proud, not just transparent, but we're proud of what we're able to do. That's great. So that is probably one of the unique things about CWS, but there are a lot of nonprofits out there. There are a lot of groups that do some of the things that we do. In your perspective, and you've worked in worked with lots of different organizations. What makes CWS unique?
So I'm going to thank you for that question. I'll respond in a minute. But Chris, do we want to open the floor to, or open the technology to questions from our viewers?
Yeah, we have a couple so far.
Okay, great.
Jeff and I'll bring one up, and I think this is an important one. In what ways do we collaborate with local partners and communities to ensure that emergency response efforts are culturally sensitive and community driven?
I will take that question first, and then Mary Catherine, I'll come back to yours in a moment, if that's okay. So we primarily respond to emergencies where we have known partners and where we are known quantities ourselves. So we have relationships that we are able to build upon, whether that's in the United States or overseas. Our staff are from those locations. They're not staff who are plopped in from other parts of the U.S. or other countries. They know what is going on, and they engage with the community and listen to the community about the community needs in an emergency situation to ensure that our response is community relevant and culturally appropriate. And thanks for that question. Mary Catherine, could you repeat yours also?
Yeah, and in fact, I think that's, you've already I was asking about what makes us unique, and I think there are probably other things you might want to share, but that answer there, I think, is something that is somewhat unique about us, is that our principled partnerships mean that our responses are culturally appropriate. They're driven by the community, and I think that's pretty unique. So you've answered it, but if you want to expand, are there other things that you think are unique about CWS?
There are. I would start first with a lot of the folks who are who are watching this live stream, in that Church Full Service has deep connections and deep relationships and a deep history with the churches in the United States, which creates an understanding of our relationship with the other people we share this planet with, and our responsibilities to and with the other people that we share this planet with. And we're very grateful for that that founding in our values. I would say that we are one of a very small group of organizations that works with people who are facing forced displacement, whether that is from violence or persecution or whatever reason. And we work and accompany those people who are facing forced displacement, forced exile. We work with them through all steps of the refugee journey, beginning with their point of departure, through the process, and then supporting them with their resettlement into the United States or into other countries as well. And that support would include helping them navigate systems, whether it's getting the kids enrolled in school or getting the parents English as a second language classes, helping them identify housing. You know, if they come to the U.S. as a refugee, they have been thoroughly vetted by the U.S. government. But frequently, you know, landlords are not aware that they have indeed been vetted and they have permission to be in this country. So we work with landlords so that they have access to that information. And then we also work with the refugee family themselves to say, all right, here's what it means to be a tenant in the United States, and here are your obligations, and here's how you fulfill them. I'll say that some of the people that we serve who have faced forced disruption, forced displacement, they've had various kinds of trauma. And we can connect them with the right kind of trauma care specialists to help them work through that. And that's almost always people who originate from those communities, who are trained in trauma care and who speak literally speak the languages of the communities that we're serving. So we're one of the very few organizations that accompanies forced migrants throughout the entire process. We also we're one of the very few that works in with forced migration and humanitarian situations, disaster situations, and in development situations, development opportunities, like that planning around the watershed I described in Cambodia. So the thing that brings all of these together is that we really do seek to help people have food, voice, and a safe place to call home. And I'm very proud of that part of CWS.
That's great. Yeah, that is unique. I mean, and we do all of the things, and local, global, and do it all rooted in that cornerstone of our mission of food, voice, and a safe place to call home. That's great.
And the values as well.
Yes. We have some questions that have been popping in, so I'm going to throw one up here that I thought, oh, okay, someone else threw it up there for us. How helpful is it for CWS to have donations that are available to use whenever they're needed versus a restricted gift?
You know, for a nonprofit like Church World Service, a gift that is available for us to use wherever the need is greatest is the absolute most valuable. You know, that may be helping a refugee community to put a deposit on a home, so they will have a roof over their heads for the first month when they arrive in the U.S. Or it may be, you know, just this week we have been reading about terrible floods in East Africa and some of the communities where we serve. It may be in providing emergency goods, food, cleaning supplies, tarps, helping people get in out of the rain. That flexibility of an unrestricted gift is golden for an organization that seeks to be responsive to local need. You know, there are times when someone wishes to make a restricted gift, and it's a gift that CWS is able to honor, and will enter into that conversation very willingly, and we'll be very grateful for that, because all kinds of gifts are worthy. But the most flexible gift is really very special and of a special quality.
Excellent. So we got another question here that I think is great. Let's see. CWS is turning 78 years old. That's really old for a nonprofit. Why should someone trust an old organization to be able to meet needs in an ever-changing world?
You know, I feel like I resemble that remark. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a lot of gray hair.
Not yet.
I'm approaching that number myself. And really the answer to that question comes back to our connection to the communities. So we're not an organization that sits behind closed doors and makes decisions without hearing from communities about what is happening now and in their locations. Mm-hmm. We are engaged. We are out there. We're understanding the context. We also are plugged in to best practices. You know, what are the best practices in water and sanitation and health? What are the best practices in ensuring that people have food on a daily basis, good nutritious food? You know, if the science evolves in that, we are following it. Sometimes we're even creating those best practices and publishing that and influencing other organizations. So I would say it's connections and relationships that ensure that we are relevant, even though we are, as an organization, 78 years old.
Yeah, we heard earlier today, from Andrew, who's overseeing our work in Moldova to respond to the war in Ukraine. And it was kind of an aside, but he did mention that we had been in Moldova for a long time, doing other work, doing renewable energy technologies and other type of work. But that relationship that had been fostered for many, many years, we were able to activate it immediately when there was an emergency. And you don't have that when you're a 10-year-old organization.
Yeah. Or when you're an organization that is, holed up behind closed doors.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. We have some great questions. Keep them coming. Larry really liked your answer, so he said thanks. Here's another one. Oh, this is good. How do we determine where programs are started and developed?
That is a great question, and thanks, David, for that. Our program staff are around the world in places where we know there's great need. And it's a combination of where there is need, where we have experience that is relevant and that we can bring to bear, and where we have or where we can develop those relationships. Again, there's that word you keep hearing time and time again with Church World Service: relationship. So yeah, the factors are where there's need, do we have a relevant experience, and do we have or can we build the relationships? Those would be I would consider those kind of the tripod of any response by Church World Service.
That's really important. I mean, and also, we can't be everywhere. No one can be everywhere. So to make sure that we're going where no one else is and where we have a unique capacity, that's really important.
Right.
And I think that should make our donors feel very confident that their gifts are being used
Absolutely,
with great stewardship. Yeah. So the questions and comments are coming in fast. I don't know if there are other questions in there that I've missed. There's a lot of comments of people really liking what you had to say. Some folks sharing examples that they've seen that.
okay.
But here's another one. Let's see. I'll read it out. In Kenya, I saw innovative technology CWS is helping make happen that is collecting data on soil and climate in very rural, remote villages. This technology helps track soil pH levels, humidity, temperature, so farmers can make data-informed decisions with planting. Oh, it's just a comment, but that's great. Yeah, so that's an example of how we work with partners.
And how we are using science and best practices.
Yeah, so we're not old. We're not old and not learning new tricks. We're an old dog that can learn new tricks. That's great.
Exactly.
Man. Thank you. There's a question. There have been questions that have come in the past, and people ask a lot around. And you mentioned about our faith-based perspective. Are we? Can you talk a little bit about that? Some people who don't know CWS very well might not know what it means for us to be a faith-based organization.
Right. I frequently hear that question as well, and it is really important to who we are as an organization. I mean, we are church. It's our first word in our name. We are founded by churches in the United States, but we are not a proselytizing organization. We believe that, so the church has been instrumental in our values. The churches of the United States, I should say, have been instrumental in our values. This concept of mutual respect, of recognizing the humanity in our neighbor, whether that neighbor is next door to me here or across two oceans in another direction. Acknowledging our common humanity as people living on this planet together. So faith is very important in founding these values. And it's important in helping us it provides our motivation. Why does the organization do this? Why do so many people support Church World Service? For many people, not exclusively, but for many people, it's because their faith motivates them likewise. But we acknowledge that the focus on providing and working with communities to recognize their God-given human dignity, that's an expression of faith, but it's not a condition, meaning it would be Church World Service would never, ever, ever condition support or condition employment on one belonging to any church, to a church or any church, or to any mosque or to any synagogue or to any temple. The employment, ability to collaborate, ability to engage, ability to receive services, ability to work alongside. None of that is a condition. So it's, for me, it's around for many people, not for everyone, but for many people, it's around the motivation.
So on a similar note, we do have a question around it. Well, Ralph asked if we resettle Christian Afghans in the United States, and we resettle all kinds of Afghans in the United States, I guess is your answer. We don't discriminate.
Correct. Correct.
Good. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? I think we have one here. Can you speak on communities we aren't able to support, but we have who can? Think of about the earthquake last year in Turkey and Serbia. Oh, so if there are places where we aren't
right
funding, how do we support that? How do we work that way?
Forgot the word partners in that, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks, Adam, for that question. As Mary Catherine mentioned, we can't be everywhere and we can't be all things to all people. So we do focus on places where there's need, where we have relevant experience, and where we have or can build the relationships that are required for the work to be sustainable. So we might not have direct connection, direct ability to do that, but through the networks that we belong with like-minded organizations around the world, we are actually able to, in this case, indirectly support their work, to amplify their work by providing resources, and we do that, and it's also a very important part of who we are and how we aim to be in the world.
Yeah, I love it too. I mean, I've heard some of our domestic disaster folks talk about our role as a convener, and that I get this picture of all the different players sitting around a table and someone saying, well, what do you have? What do you have? What do you have? Okay, well, I can do blankets. Well, I can do kits. I can
absolutely
make showers. And so we, in many ways, we're making sure that the people who have the boots on the ground are supported to do that. And those who are support roles know what they have to do. It's really great.
Absolutely.
To be
Yeah. Yeah. And so you can amplify that from domestic to international with a very similar approach.
Great. Chris, have you seen any other questions coming in? We might be running short on time anyway, but did you see any others?
I mean, I think just a question about how does somebody go and get help if they're in need, and maybe we can just drop a link into our into that chat box about our different regional offices that we have throughout the United States, and that somebody in need can reach out to those. We just had a question that came through about our vision. What is our vision at CWS, and where are we in terms of progress of reaching that vision? It's always a work in progress. But Jeff, do you want to speak to that a little bit about our vision and where we are in that journey?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think it would be a surprise to anyone that in many places things are not trending in a positive direction. You just have to look at the headlines to know that. Our vision is that everyone has food, voice, and a safe place to call home. And we actually know that that we and the nonprofit sector in general will continue to fight for our vision and our peer organizations for theirs. I I find I'm going to take a little bit of a philosophical approach here. I'm not from the Jewish tradition, but there's a concept in Judaism that says you might not be able to help everyone, but you can help one. And I'm sure I massacred that saying. But I know my colleagues at CWS and our supporters around the world also believe that we can and we should help those that we can.
That's great.
And our supporters they are there on the front lines with us. Jeff, you spoke a lot about, and many of our guests have, collaborations, partnerships, and our people who are giving today are our partners. They're part of who we are, and we're there to work alongside of them as much as they are here to work alongside us.
Is there anything you'd like to say to those supporters, Jeff? Like if
Well,
listening or watching,
a huge thank you. We cannot be your arms and legs in the world without your support. And we are incredibly grateful for all you do day in and day out. And in particular on this Giving Day, honoring Church World Services founding 78 years ago, I am particularly grateful for your support. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeff. We're grateful for your support, for your leadership, for your perspective as well. Yes, that's 78 years of just and sustainable solutions to hunger, poverty, displacement, and disaster locally throughout the United States, around the world. We're so unique in that way, and we're so grateful to everyone who makes it happen. Remember, today, visit our website. We are coming closer and closer to our goal, but we still have work to do, just like we still have work to do around the world to provide food, voice, and a safe place to call home for all. Your gifts today, your giving today, it goes directly towards our emergency response fund. And you're standing with us on the front lines to provide food, shelter, and critical care for those facing a crisis when you give today. So please continue that support coming so we can reach that $100,000 goal. And again, speaking of those partnerships, it is our 78th birthday, and we're commemorating that, but we're commemorating that along with you. Our donors, our supporters, our volunteers, congregations, denominations, crop walk, supporters, everybody. You are CWS, so we celebrate that with you, and we're so very grateful to you. Mary Catherine, do you want to?
I thought maybe we could spotlight one of those amazing, or actually two of those amazing donors. This is Norma and Armin Clem, and they are some of our monthly donors. They give every single month. They're called the Sustaining Partners. And we asked them, why do you do this? And they said, to support Church World Service monthly is a great joy in our lives because we know CWS is there to bring hope for a new life after devastation. CWS helps people help themselves and is there for the long haul. We've had such a wonderful life. It is a gift to try to bring at least a small measure of love to someone who has suffered much in their life. Thank you for loving God for Church World Service. So that's Norma and Armin. Be like Norma and Armin today. We hope that you will be a donor. And in fact, we have a special match opportunity. We have a sustaining partner match. So for those who sign up to be a monthly donor today, we will be able to match that gift. And we have 10 who've signed up so far today. So help us continue towards our goal. We also have a 1-to-1 double your impact match for all of our donations today on our Giving Day webpage. So we'll put the link in the comments. I think right before we started today, our total was up to 58,982. So we've made tremendous progress today, over halfway there. We really hope to hit 100,000 to fully fund our emergency response fund so that we can be there in a moment's notice and be your hands and feet, or arms and legs, as you said, Jeff, for all of you out there when there is and when someone's in crisis. So thank you so much for everyone who's joined us. Please come back and visit us at 6 p.m. Chris and I are going to have kind of a Together We Thrive roundup, check in with everybody when you get off of work, let you know what you might have missed and some inspiration for the day coming ahead, for the rest of the day coming ahead. So join us on any of the CWS live streams today at 6, and then we'll see you again at 8 and 10. So make sure you come visit with us. So thank you, Jeff, Chris.
My pleasure.
And thank you, everybody else who's been tuning in. Have a great one.
Everyone.
Bye.